What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with another episode of the GTA 6 podcast. I'm your host, Somehotcookies. Joining me today, per usual, is our co-host here, Discovering Pandora. How are you doing, Gerry?
Good man, good man. How are you? Getting kind of nervous. It's getting towards the end of the year and still no trailer too. So I guess we'll get into it, but I don't know, man. But happy to be here.
Yeah, per usual, we have a plethora of topics to talk about today, including that trailer too, what's going on with that, our thoughts on everything going on there. Along with that, we have a couple of things. We are a day or two now removed from the Game Awards. After the recording, it is December 14th. So we've had a lot of time. The Moon Theory didn't pan out. The Game Awards didn't pan out. What is next for GTA 6? We had a recent article with Jason Schrier revealing a couple things about GTA 6 production thus far. A couple of things that we're going to talk about in that, along with some more speculation on our part about if we're actually getting the trailer too, pre-orders and the like. So if you're interested in all of that, make sure to stick around for sure. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to talk about trailer 2 predictions, Gerry. So let's start off with that. What do you think is going on? Are we getting one by the end of the year? And if not, do you think we're getting something else? Delay? What are your thoughts?
See, I was holding out hope because our last episode was still last month, but seeing as now we're like halfway through December, which is even past, we're officially past the year mark since the previous trailer. I think it's looking more and more likely that we're not getting it this month, possibly due to a delay. And they maybe still want to keep it that certain amount of time before they release the game, which now does not match up to, the timetable of releasing it right now in December and maybe releasing the game in the fall. So maybe this is a silent indication that maybe it's creeped into 2026 somehow.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it a lot, right? I mean, in the earnings call for Take Two, they said fall 2025. They've been hammering it home recently that that's the year. Well, at least journalists and the like, right? They're harping on that they said it, right? But of course, it could always get delayed, and it could always already be delayed internally. Just we don't really know about it because we're not in the know. My personal opinion is, as of right now, I think there's still a chance for fall 2025 for sure. I just don't think at this point we're going to get a trailer. I think a way to blow up the internet would be like Christmas Day, wrap it in a little bow, boom, trailer 2. I mean, what else is going to blow up where people maybe are trying to find something to do with their families or anything, but then all the kids and everyone, myself included, would run to their phone the second they hear GTA 6 trailer 2. I think that would be really cool, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think at the most for GTA 5, I mentioned this to you before we actually got into the episode. GTA 5 actually had around Christmas time, I think the week of Christmas, screenshots released with the Happy Holidays message from the Rockstar team before. I think more than likely, if anything, we could possibly get that. We know that they just hired a screenshot person from their LinkedIn profiles that they were looking for jobs for GTA 6's screenshot person. But so it's definitely possible. But again, more on the like 10-15% on likeliness. We just don't know. Like you said, radio silence. We have no clue what's going on, but it is looking a little bit more grim in my opinion and more leaning towards a delay, like you were saying. I just would have expected some news by now a year out. We know it's Rockstar. We know they like to make us wait, but even a year and some change, it feels like a very long time to hold out on any new information, whether it be through just a tweet, like I said, screenshots, or even the trailer too, like everyone's been wanting.
I mean, our a hope could be that maybe for some reason, even if they're still releasing fall 2025, that maybe they've changed their ideas and the strategy in terms of maybe not wanting to release another trailer into a little closer. Maybe when attached to it, you can already offer a concrete exact date and maybe already pre-order, like pre-orders go live. So maybe that requires, maybe they want that to now be a little closer to release. So that could be the only hope while still maintaining the fall 2025 release date.
Yeah, something again that we touched on right before the episode, just bringing it out to the podcast now, though, is that maybe they're kind of waiting for it to be close to, like you're saying, for pre-orders, different editions, and maybe even what we assume is that they still have their marketing deal with PlayStation. So maybe they're doing not only pre-orders and different editions, but also a console bundled version for the PS5 or PS5 Pro, which would also be something worthy of breaking the internet while still keeping it in a time frame that they would want to start their marketing campaign ticking up. I think it's
Yeah,
definitely a possibility. Just another one of those things though, where we would have to go ahead and wait and see what the direction is like. I'm sure whatever happens with trailer 2, that will give us a great indication if a delay is actually happening. I think, like you're saying, trailer 2 will probably either start solidifying the window or solidify the date itself. And whether we get news of trailer 2 soon or not, it's still a good indicator of whether or not the game's actually on track for a fall release, like you're saying, or an actual delay. So, in many ways, no news is news as we head into the 2025 year. So, if we don't hear anything by March or April, um, I would assume that we would start getting into possible delay territory, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more with something coming up. But before we get into the whole Jason Schrier blog and everything that's in it, let's go ahead and talk about some good news with GTA 6. Throughout the Golden Joystick Awards and the most recently the Game Awards by Jeff Keighley, GTA 6 essentially won the most anticipated or the most hyped or the most forward looked over to game for 2025. And I mean, it's just a testament to not only everyone in the journalist scene wanting to get their hands on this, but the players. Like we've said multiple times here on the podcast, this is going to be a generational game. So, what do you think about this? Was this a for sure fire win? Do you think it ever had the chance of losing these awards? What are your thoughts, Jerry?
no, definitely not. It didn't have a chance of losing. We've said it since. I mean, I think people have known it for years, especially with how big GTA 5 got, especially when they really knocked it out of the park with the online, which kind of even caught them by surprise, and how nowadays Rockstar takes so much longer in between. The gaps are now bigger in between games. It was just building up the hype and building it up to now it's literally at a fever pitch where the roof is about to blow off. Like I don't think the gaming industry has seen something like this, especially in this day and age of social media and everything, how connected we are. So it is going to be something completely different. As big as GTA 5 launch was, which broke so many records, I just can't even fathom to see what's going to be the case for GTA 6. So not a surprise that it won these two, most anticipated game for 2025.
Mm-hmm. Gotta agree with you on that one. Now that we've covered all of this, guys, let's get into the game breaking new news that we've recently gotten for GTA 6 from gaming journalist Jason Schrier. Now, he did write his article over on Bloomberg, so we do have a little summation here from this guy over on Twitter or X. Named Detective at that one Detective 3. So shout out to you. Appreciate you summarizing everything in the article for us. We're going to go one by one through all of these details here in Jason Schreier's newest article. We're going to give our thoughts and opinion, and we're going to pull up a couple of pieces that maybe correlate to some of these points, all right? So he reads as follows: GTA 6 details in Jason Schreier's new article. The first point is no mention of a release date change, so hopefully we're still on track for fall 2025. Now, we just kind of covered our thoughts on everything, possible delays, no news being news in itself for trailer 2, but then literally I think it's like a day or two later. I don't have, because this was released on December 9th, I believe. A day or two later, we have this from the same guy, the detective, that says Jason Schrier said he'd be surprised if GTA 6 meets the fall 2025 deadline due to Rockstar's past track record and the complexities behind video game development. Important to note that this was just speculating and not officially reporting on a delay of 2026. Big difference. I mean, reading this, hearing that, knowing that Jason Schrier essentially has to have some sort of, insider as well. Along with the second point here on the big conglomeration of the summary of the article being the game has missed multiple deadlines so far. What are your initial thoughts on these three little points here?
I think what it was is he didn't actually hear of a release date change, which is point number one, which is
Mm.
true. But I think using everything else he knows, especially like you said, with point number two right there, missing multiple deadlines, we get that follow up tweet where, as in his opinion, he doesn't see how the 2025 one is still achievable. Where which is his personal prediction, that it's going to be 2026 with a delay, which makes sense. So he hasn't personally heard of a delay within sources or whatever, but his taking the rest of his reporting, he made the summation, oh, I think this is going to mean a delay. It's probably the last thing that they're wanting to talk about. It's probably the last resort that they want to take, so which could explain why he hasn't heard of it yet. It still might be the thing that does happen. They're kind of just it's the last resort, but with it missing multiple deadlines, I think that's a clear giveaway that it's not 100% on track, obviously, as they thought it would be time wise, which is fine because obviously, we're in the day now and age where we rather not have another Cyberpunk or X other game situation come out. We want this to be as polished and as good as possible as we know they could do. So take your time. If it is 2026, are we all going to be disappointed? Yes, but I think we would be more disappointed with getting it, but having it be like a buggy or broken game. So, but I think that does indicate it's highly possible with the multiple missed delays or deadlines.
Yeah, and then we know for a fact at least one deadline through their earnings call. I think it was from last year, or they were building up through their earnings call that GTA possibly was going to release before the end of this last fiscal year, which was on April 1st, 2024. So that's one that we kind of know of. When it comes to the other deadlines that they've missed, I mean, I could only imagine. I'm assuming they probably wanted to release this by 2022, 2023, and they just haven't, really had the power to go ahead and do this because it's taking so long, squashing all these bugs, innovating and implementing new features into the game. So we don't really know how many they've missed so far, but for sure we know of one. And I definitely, even when we heard the earnings call Take Two this year in on December this, or was it November the 6th, even then I was like, hey, they're saying this, but I kind of still feel a delay is possible just
Yeah,
because of how massive this game truly is.
yeah.
So yeah, agree with all of your points. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one here on the list. GTA 6 has been in development for a decade, but only really entered full production, after Red Dead Redemption 2 released in 2018. Now, before we even entered the podcast, I was filling you in. This is kind of the same thing we've seen other AAA studios do. I mean, we know ever since Andromeda came out, essentially, Mass Effect Andromeda, that being, the main Mass Effect core team, especially the game director Mike Gamble and maybe his close writers, have been working on the follow-up of whatever Mass Effect 5 is going to be pretty much almost, I want to say, like a year after they pretty much confirmed that they were already working on it and it was going to take years. The main team over at BioWare then goes full force over on Dragon Age the Veilguard. And then after that, they themselves have literally come out and said, like, yeah, no DLC, maybe some updates to help with bugs and stuff like that. Everyone's now going full hands on deck over to Mass Effect 5. So it's definitely something we've seen in the gaming space before and isn't really a surprise to me. I mean, GTA 6, they want it to be the biggest, best thing it can be. So I'm sure they already had a couple writers or something, big higher ups working on scripts and the like for GTA 6 a little bit after 5. At least a handful of people. And then now that RDR2 is done, everyone jumped ship and now is working on GTA 6. Well, for the most part, obviously they have their online department like GTA Online to keep updates relevant. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption Online. Your thoughts on this point?
Yeah, I think like you said, we've seen it. It's pretty standard on when it comes to a studio that might be uh, developing like two games at once in a way. Like they mainly focus on one, so the majority of the group kind of goes to one, where you still do have a skeleton crew that either starts pre-production on what the following game's going to be or something of that sort. We kind of saw it with Naughty Dog. They would have they were all focused on Uncharted 4 while they had a skeleton crew prepping Last of Us 2. Then they went into Last of Us 2 while you obviously had a skeleton crew. And then start pre-production on the new Intergalactic that they finally did reveal during the Game Awards. And
Yep.
then as soon as Last of Us 2 shipped, boom, the majority kind of now went to that one. I'm sure there's already a skeleton crew working on what he's talked about. They are going to do a Last of Us 3. So I assume some kind of pre-production small little team is working on that, while the majority right now is now focusing on finishing up Intergalactic, which they said they've been working on for the last 4 years at full force. Lines up. Last of Us 2 launched, I believe, 2020. 4 years later, 2024. So that's the one that they've been working on. So yeah, no surprise there. And that's how kind of Rockstar seems to do it. They work on one game, prepping another one, like you said, RDR2. I'm sure there's already a skeleton crew doing really early pre-production work on RDR3, if that's their next project. So yeah, no surprise there.
A lot of low key talk on Bully 2, so maybe instead of RDR3, Bully 2 is the next skeleton crew. That aside, though, 100% agree. Pretty much, it's an industry standard, so
Yeah.
pretty pretty easy to see that point in particular. Now, this next point, Jerry, I know I kind of brushed over it in our little preview for the podcast episode, but this has been riling up the masses. People have been, I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid politics when it comes to this point in particular. But I mean, you see it everywhere in gaming. Woke this, woke that, female protagonist woke, and anything like that of the happening. Someone's gonna say something. Identity politics have been making a huge stand in entertainment, whether it be something like the MCU cinematic universe, movies in general, and entertainment, video games nowadays, right? There's just a
Yeah.
political statement in a lot of stuff happening nowadays when it comes to the entertainment space. I personally could go without it. And just want to see good games come to the forefront and people that are passionate about games. Always have, always will. And that's why I really liked Jeff Keighley's speech and the game director for Baldur's Gate 3 when he was announcing Game of the Year. They had some really good speeches when it came to politics and video games and how that shouldn't matter. It should just be make a game, keep anything out of it. Just make something that you love, make something that gamers love, and the money will come. You know what I mean? But this is a big point of contention here. A lot of people have been talking about this game, or not game. Skip the point. This game will be less crude towards transgenders and other minorities. I don't know. What are your take on this?
I honestly think we're not even going to notice, to be honest with
Hmm.
you. I think if you're really going in there now because you saw that line and you're looking for them and you don't find them, the clearest example that comes to mind that's most recent is Deadpool 3. Yeah, that's a movie, different format. But um the first two movies, not only were they, gory, the crude humor, but they were also very like sexual jokes.
Hmm.
What happened with Deadpool 3 that nobody's even mentioning? Sexual jokes almost kind, or at least showing, that's like sexual scenes and things of that sort, like getting like really nasty. They went away, but you didn't hear any complaints because everything else was punched up. Like the language was still there, or even more so, or the blood was really there. So you didn't even notice it was gone. And obviously because they made their transition to Disney, that that was something that had to go, but it was like you didn't feel it. Like where was the conversation that people felt that something was missing? No, it was still a rated R movie. It was still as raunchy as can be, except you didn't have one little thing. So I honestly think we're not even going to notice. It's still going to be the same GTA that we know. Yeah, maybe if this is true, maybe if you're really looking, they don't maybe go as hard on what they said here, minorities and transgenders. But I think everything else is still going to, be punched up even more so, or just be the same, that we're not really going to notice. And if you really needed to hear these two people or these two groups getting bashed in order for you to feel good, then I think that's a personal problem. You know what
Mm.
I mean? I really think we're not going to notice. Do I recall that past games really attacked these two particular groups? No, it just felt like they were attacking particular people in general, not groups.
Mm.
So to me, it doesn't really matter. So, um, yeah, I will be completely fine, and I'm not even worried at all. I know that it's still going to be, the GTA they want to make. If that really is the case, this line right here, which we don't know, I just think it's going to be something that, unless you're now looking for it, we're not even going to notice, because everything else is still going to be the way it's always been. That's just
Yeah.
my point of view.
Yeah, and I really like the way that you put it. But not only that, I like the point that you made about it's kind of more like you're attacking the individual,
Mhm.
or that they're targeting with the jokes or whatever it may be, the hate, than it is like the group of people, right? Because I mean, I'm thinking about like for me, it's like San Andreas. I play that game the most. I know the most about it. I don't remember a lot about it because I haven't played it in forever since the trilogy re-release that was a mess at launch. But I remember even then, like they make one-off jokes about like maybe a person being a certain race or whatever, but it never really felt like, oh, they're hating these type of people. It was like they hate this person and they're
Yeah.
trying to get under their skin, make them as mad as possible, show that they hate that particular person more than it is like they hate that group that person belongs to. And I think you're right. I think that is kind of like, if we do see anything like that, it'll be like a joke about you as an individual more than it is like them and that group that they fall in, and all those people that are like kind of identify as the same. Um, One example I would say is like, again, I haven't replayed GTA 5 in forever, but even like Trevor's whole thing is like, maybe you want to say the trashier part of Los Santos with all like, what you would say is the redneck area or whatever it may be. And then they're a certain way on how they carry themselves compared to people in the city. But when they make fun of someone like, Trevor's sidekick, like Ron, or the other one that I forget his name, the one with the face makeup, it's more like an attack on them and like them being silly or goofy or those one-off gags rather than it is like the area that they came from or who they identify as or anything like that. So I think you're right. I think you're 100% correct. And for me, anytime I hear these types of arguments, it's kind of like you're saying, that's more of a problem with you than it is a problem with like what is actually going on. Unless it's actually just pushing these ideals or whatever. But that has to be seen to be proven. You can't just see something that has those characteristics and then just call it woke DEI trash. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you have to wait and see something and then you can make the argument. You can't just be like Lucia's main protagonist, they went downhill, they went woke.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like we've harped on this, enough. People probably know, they get our point. Let's move on to the next point on this list here for Jason Schrier. Game publishers are waiting to commit to release dates for their games, given the astronomical hype for GTA 6. They want to see if it'll still release in 2025 or slip into 2026. I feel like this kind of falls in line with what we've said so far about the release date, multiple deadlines. Is it still coming out fall? And I mean, you would have to be the worst game publisher ever to see GTA 6 coming out around the week, even 2 weeks from your release date, and being like, yeah, I don't care, we're still releasing the game here. Like, you would have to be insane to do this next to GTA 6. What are your thoughts on seeing something like this come out from Jason Schreier?
I honestly think I would be in those same having those same thoughts as those game publishers. Like, I'm just gonna wait and see first before I
Yeah.
commit, because like you said, you not only need to have just like a 1 to 2 week window, you need to have like a giant crate, like a Grand Canyon crater of a difference space. Let it have its own month, like just nothing else release in whatever month it's released. Just give it a national holiday, whatever it needs. Just stay away from it. Because it's like, if especially if there's a lot of studios or publishers where like they really are dependent, like their next game is make or break.
Mm.
All times are tough.
Yep.
it's like we get it. Like I understand. I don't fault anybody from like I would not never call any of them like, oh wow, cowards. They can't commit to a. No, it's like this is literally going to be a game release that we have never seen the likes of, as we just said a little earlier. So we can completely understand that a studio does not want to release. I mean, you got Mafia releasing in the summer. I mean, that's going to be great because we get to fully enjoy Mafia before a potential fall release for GTA, which like that, look at that's direct competition. That's literally an open world game that also deals with the crime world. I mean, it's literally you'd be trying to get the same people to play your game.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't fault them at all, and I would be in the same thing. And that's why I would be like Rockstar, hurry up! Like just like every day googling, have they announced anything yet? Like what's
Yeah.
happening? Yeah, because also you need to get your marketing in place and everything. So yeah, it's like I'm sure a lot of these publishers like, please hurry up and announce it already because time is ticking for them. You know, they're gonna at some point might have to pull the trigger and announce theirs before even Rockstar does, because Rockstar knows that they can do whatever they want when they want, and they're probably trying their best to make sure they still make it. But like I said, it could be the uh last resort that they might have to delay it, which I'm sure it's not something they want to do, but it could just be something they have to do.
Yeah, and that's not even taking into account we don't know if GTA Online is releasing side by side with GTA 6. If
Mm-hmm.
GTA Online releases like I don't remember how long it was. Do you remember? Was it like a month after
Yeah,
the
it was like
release?
yeah, it was some weeks. Yeah, maybe a
Like
month, but it was at least some weeks. Yeah.
if you have GTA Online released like 2 weeks to a month after the game releases, yeah, good luck being in that quarter. I mean, are you out of your mind? You're gonna have what I'm assuming is going to be at the very least like a 20 hour to 30 hour campaign, probably when you do all the side missions and the main quests, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna keep people busy for at least a week and a half to 2 weeks of them playing the game on and off, depending on how much time they have to dedicate, right? And then if a month later you get GTA Online, there goes another portion of players dedicating hours upon hours, depending on how much content they have on launch, to the release of online. At the
Yeah.
very least, because people's attention nowadays, especially, are very fickle, especially when it comes to online centric games. So maybe if you're really, really banking on it, maybe a ton of players leave after a week or 2 weeks if there's zero content. But even then, I think like a week or 2 weeks of everybody talking about this game, even if they just had free roam on launch of GTA Online, and that's that, like you're still having everyone come back to GTA 6, possibly ignoring every other game release once GTA Online launches, if it in fact doesn't release side by side.
Yeah, and just get ready for literally years of GTA 6 being on. I would not be surprised if it being on top 10, highest selling games list every month for years on end. Because honestly, I think right now GTA 5 is still makes at least like top 20, but sometimes it reaches the top 10 of highest selling games per month every month. It's insane. So yeah, good luck. And quick little side thing I saw. I don't know if you've seen this, but within Fortnite, have you seen that new game mode coming called Brick Life?
Oh, yeah, there's actually two things like that. There's that Brick Life, which is shaping up to be like, I don't even know, like a Sims slash GTA hybrid
Yeah.
for Fortnite. And then we
Hmm.
have a game called like Anonym or Antonym or something like that, which is everyone's labeling it as anime GTA, where it's like you can do whatever you want. Like there's racing, you can hold a concert, there's open world, and it's like all like the most rendered like anime characters I've ever seen, like kind of in the style of like I would say something like a Hoyoverse game, really, of like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, something of that effect, with the character models, and it's like doing GTA like things. It is kind of crazy on how many things, like you get those jokes all the time, like we got Marvel Rivals Hero Shooter before GTA 6, like all those like little corny jokes that people throw in the comment
Yeah.
section, and it's like we actually got anime GTA 6 trailer before GTA 6, and we got Lego Fortnite collab GTA before GTA 6. Like, this is kind of crazy.
Exactly. Hey, it's a little smart on their end. They can kind of capitalize before the release because obviously once it releases, it's just gonna be the number one. But
Mhm.
hey, you want to maybe something that didn't take overly long to develop, like the Brick Life. I mean, for especially for a younger audience, and yet they still want to capitalize on it. The cover even makes it look like the cover of GTA, with
I
those
saw that.
broken panels. I was like, hey, you know what? You're playing into it, and it could work in your favor, up until, for this upcoming year for the most part of it. It could work in their favor. So hey, kudos to them.
I mean, to be fair, even I was thinking about trying out the Fortnite Brick Life collab just to kind of see what it was about. I think the
You probably
one thing
will.
that really got me was like they show this like I think it's like a 5 second scene. Like you can buy a property and then like turn it into whatever you want with like your creation of Legos, like how you visualize a house, like a cool house. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. Like that's something I wish we could do on like GTA 6, GTA Online or something. I know there was like Red Dead Redemption 2, you could like buy a house or online. You could buy a house. I never got to the point where you could because I only played it on launch, really. I didn't really touch it afterwards. So I don't know how that panned out. Um, but like I would love for like being able to like I low key love games where I can design whatever I want and like kind of
Yeah.
have it around. I mean, I'm talking Animal Crossing, I'm talking like The Sims, right? Like if we could buy a house and then like decorate our house how we want it, invite players over. I don't know. That stuff kind of gets me. I know that sounds like Martha Stewart level type things, but I love having that stuff in my games. I don't know. I might be the only one. Who knows? Who knows? But that's like one of those things that always draws me in. I'm like, maybe I'll check this game out. Like that's what really
Yeah.
happened with Animal Crossing. That's what got me hooked on there. I was like, oh, I want to design my house. I want to add this. I want to fix my island to be up like that. This is my vision for it. Like that. I love that stuff. So maybe I'll end up checking out that Brick Life actually.
And I'm sure you're not alone. I'm sure throughout these years, that's what people have been hoping for. Because we got to remember the way GTA 5 is online. For the most part, it was kind of the way they built it before they knew how big it was going to become. But now in this decade, knowing what people are into and like you said, seeing other little influences that people get into, like Animal Crossing, they like the customization, the this, the that. I can't wait to see what the reveal trailer is like for what features are going to be in this new iteration of the GTA Online. Because I would not be surprised if they finally do include so many customizable things like that, and it would only work in their favor to really make this like the mode people could just lose, countless, hours in.
Yeah, and that's not even to mention if they do make an official like GTA RP. I mean, half of the stuff that you can do in GTA RP is like customization for yourself. They have buildings that are now accessible in GTA RP that are like the apartment complexes, and you can actually like buy one and own one with like whatever the currency is for GTA RP or like your income or whatever. So like they could do so much with something like that, borrowing those type of things or even innovating on them, because really they've been working on this for years, so they could have been the original
Yeah,
creators, but something like Brick Life just got it out first, right? um
exactly.
so yeah, I'm excited to see what level of customization, how in depth things are going to go. Like I love seeing that stuff, so that's going to be really fun to get into. Like you said, once they reveal whatever these new innovations, gameplay mechanics, customizations are going to be, once they start unveiling all of that. I'm hoping for not only just in trailers to see something like this, but I'm hoping they do something. I don't think we'll see it, but I hope they do like a deep dive on the game where they do like a, I don't know, like a 20-30 minute showcase where they just show cool new things that are available to do in the game like that. Like that would be so cool to see. Yeah, so let's get into the next point though. I feel like we're getting like horribly sidetracked with what we
Yeah,
want to see. But the next point here on the Jason Schrier article, the 2022 hack forced Rockstar to be less lenient on remote work and return the devs back to offices 5 days a week. I mean, that sounds very just reasonable. We do have an
yeah,
entire article here. We're going to kind of briefly go over it, the notebook that from the notebook check where they kind of compiled all the stuff that we know about the 2022 hack, sorry, which is, as they state, probably one of the biggest gaming leaks of the decade. I would say almost of all time. I mean,
yeah.
GTA 6 this is like the most hyped up, prolific game almost ever. And this guy somehow managed to get into their databases essentially and get all this footage and work and all of that to get and release GTA 6. I mean, we're going to read off some of the points here. It appears the individual responsible for leaking content known as Arion tricked an employee at Rockstar India through an email phishing scam while the employee was working remotely. The phishing attack led to the hacker gaining access to the employee's browser data, which then opened a way for him to gain access to Rockstar's internal Slack channel. What happened next reportedly cost the company millions of dollars, $5 million to be exact. I don't know how that affected them already in revenue. I'm not really too sure on that front. The hacker gained access to sensitive files, including those related to the highly anticipated GTA 6. This leak, which included around 90 video clips of early GTA 6 gameplay, was one for the books. The breach gave the public a first look at the game's setting, including Vice Beach, reminiscent of GTA Vice City, the wildly popular installment from 2002. Arion also reportedly accessed GTA 6 source code, following which law enforcement arrested the hacker. He was identified as a 17-year-old guy from the UK and has since been remanded to juvenile detention. The article continues by saying the source further revealed that Rockstar India had been assigned a significant part of the project, namely the development of the Vice Beach area, which is expected to be a major part of the new game's map. If one single regional branch was involved in designing merely one key section of the map, it's crazy to think how massive the scale of GTA 6 could be, especially considering that Rockstar India is a crucial contributor to the map design. Rockstar India's internal studio of Bengaluru, I hope I said that correctly, officially established in 2016, has been involved in several high-profile games in the past, including contributions to Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the studio's most acclaimed games. Initial thoughts on that?
Like they said, it just already screams of the level of detail and the scale of the map. More so for me, detail, because I don't think necessarily this has to mean like scale in terms of size, but just attention to detail. And did I get it right that it seems that Vice Beach is their version of Vice City? So, or you actually just mean like the actual beach area, or is the city going to be called Vice Beach?
I think Vice Beach will probably be like the far right, like the beach area, maybe the strip. And I think maybe like I'm trying to think like in Vice City terms, right? You know where the Ocean View Hotel is, like that little island? I would assume that that's like Vice Beach. That's my assumption. I mean, there's no concrete information. It could just be the beach area, but the island that the Ocean View Hotel is on in Vice City, I would assume that that is Vice Beach.
Man, that's crazy because that's not even the full, this full city. They get like a portion of it, and that's a whole studio, in Rockstar India. So yeah, that's just crazy to the amount of detail that we're probably going to see in there. How much hopefully interactions we can do. So that's what it screams to me, and so that's really exciting as well. Because I know not only is it going to be one city like it mainly was for GTA 5, but we're hearing it's going to include surrounding areas of Florida. That I think I've read almost like a big portion of Florida itself will be represented in the map in some way or another. So man, that's really exciting to see that they did scale up the map in general, but how detailed each section will still be, because you literally will have, like, for example, this one studio working on one section of the city. So that is really cool to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact number of studios that Rockstar has. If I had to guess, it's somewhere between 8 and 12. So let's just say you give like every single like studio that Rockstar has, like San Diego, India, whatever other divisions that you may have. I know they're all like different colors, like that's their representation. Like blue is like this, like the Rockstar logo, but blue is like one, pink is another, all that stuff. So let's just say you gave one to every department that they have. That could make up the entirety of the map. But if everyone, like you said, is putting attention to detail on every little portion of the map, making sure that everything is good and up to standard and par on every section. I mean, the only things that we know so far is like the beach area, the Ocean View Strip, like the hotel that they showed, the kind of more like Sandy Shores looking area where they're doing that U-turn in their car, in the
Yeah.
trailer, and then the leak footage stuff, which is to the left of the ocean view from the mapping project, which is where the waffle leak came from, the Waffle House or whatever it's called, and then Port Gilehorn, which we see on the signs in the trailer, which is going to be like where I'm assuming the shipments and stuff are for the map. And even just that, I mean, that's what, 4 or 5 dedicated areas that you could have to a separate division of Rockstar development teams. And I'm not sure, but I'm assuming there's a lot of assumptions here. I'm making an ass out of myself. I'm assuming that every team of like every division is at least like 50 plus people. So having 50 plus people dedicated to like a certain area of the map, like that could be very telling of how intricate, how cool, how well developed like every single portion is going to be, let alone all the footage we got from the leaks themselves, which the mapping project has analyzed almost entirely. They've plotted coordinate points and everything. Sorry, I just had a alarm come up. They plotted coordinates and everything. So I mean, really, the leaks helped everyone find out a lot of things about the game already. There's also something that I wanted to cover in a following video, Jerry. Maybe after this one. There is what people are calling the GTA 6 Bible. This came out because of these said leaks here in the article. It's essentially every character, every known thing, every side activity that was confirmed in the leaks. We could probably go through that in a future episode, but it is crazy how in-depth that thing is. I kind of skimmed over it, and they mention a lot of really cool stuff. So if you guys are interested on that, let us know in the comment section of however you're listening to this podcast, and the next episode might be sooner than you think, and we can cover that entire, basically, GTA 6 Bible of things that we are knowing for sure are actually in the game through those leaks.
Yeah, it actually sounds like a really, really interesting one to do. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to look over that whole thing, so that'd be awesome.
It's very in-depth. Like, it'll literally take us like an hour, maybe more, to go through everything.
Oh
Because I was just skimming through it. There's pages. I mean, this is like a whole PDF file with like maybe like 20 pages, a whole table of contents and everything of just like everything that the people who have looked into the leaks and analyzed every frame, every code thing, what that have you that they saw from the leaks, and put it into this like public community PDF dump. So yeah, definitely something that we could look into for the next one for everything that we already know is going to be in here. And then here, the final point of the GTA 6 Jason Schrier Bloomsburg article, reiterating that Rockstar changed their work culture and ousted several executives after the RDR2 crunch controversy. So for those of you that don't know, Rockstar actually went under fire after the release of RDR2 from, if you could believe it, another Jason Schrier article. This happened actually back in 2018, October 2018 to be precise, where essentially they kind of realized through a slip-up of an interview that crunch was so insane at Rockstar to get some of these games out, including Red Dead Redemption 2, that people weren't like basically neglecting their families, working overtime without getting overtime pay. And that pretty much led to why production on GTA 6 is taking so slow. Like, you might be saying like, oh, I hate this. You know, we would have gotten GTA 6 by now if they would have kept up this work culture. But it's like, bro, these developers were literally like themselves to get these games out. Like, they were working actually insane hours. And I just wanted to cover it here just kind of briefly here. So 2 Sundays ago, which you can disregard because that was in 2018, a glowing article in New York Magazine about the making of Red Dead Redemption 2 ignited controversy thanks to a quote left unexamined and unexplained, in which Dan Houser described working 100-hour work weeks to get the game out the door. The following Monday, Houser said in an emailed statement to Kotaku that he was only referring to the writing team and only a period of 3 weeks. I mean, even then, if you're working 100-hour in 3 weeks, that is insane. On Wednesday, the company lifted its social media policies, allowing employees to share thoughts on their own experiences with crunch. The article and its fallout have led to widespread industry discussion of crunch and plenty of questions about work conditions at Rockstar. There's a company behind Grand Theft Auto 5, the most lucrative video game of all time. That was even back then.
Yeah.
overwork its employees, how much unpaid overtime went into Red Dead Redemption 2. And here's a couple of like accounts from employees. One of them said, if you left early on a work weekend or weekday or weekend, you'd get dirty looks, said one former employee of Rockstar San Diego, who told me they worked an average of 70 hours a week during Red Dead Redemption. You'd feel the stare down, and sometimes you'd see it as you were leaving. There was this culture of, if you don't put in the hours, you're not worth working here. In the thick of the crunch, Rockstar San Diego began offering laundry service, according to two people who worked there, which is another former employee pointed out left some people feeling uncomfortable. They wouldn't even have enough spare time to do their own laundry. The temperament from these guys has always been, it should be a privilege to serve in this organization, said a person who was there. And if you don't agree with that, there's a long line of people waiting to take your place. I mean, this just sounds awful. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Like, this workplace culture that they had before, yeah, we were getting games maybe 1 to 3 years sooner because of this crunch, which is obviously great for the fans. But what these employees were going through, not getting paid overtime, not seeing their families, essentially having no lives out of work, and then being like bullied into doing this, and
Yeah.
even having essentially your job threatened. It kind of sounds like a higher up corporation job, right? Like, if you don't do this, there's someone waiting for you to replace you. Like, that sounds so messed up. And the fact that that people were able to shine a light on this and actually be able to get some of this stuff to stop is fantastic news on the developer end. It sucks because, like, yeah, we don't get the games out faster, but man, just as like a human being, it feels good that that has changed. I mean, your initial response on everything here that is going on with that whole crunch culture thing.
Yeah, I think the out of one of the the main things they spotlight is somebody like Jason Schrier that can put a spotlight on. This was actually a good one to put a spotlight on in order for it to end, because like you said, I mean, just human to human, that's not good. That's inhumane. Yeah, maybe we'll have to wait another year or two for the video games we're really looking forward to. But it's just, I'd rather do that than see people go through this. Nobody should have to go through that just to deliver, an entertainment for us, which for them just turned into like a horrifying experience. And especially what you said with unpaid overtime, how much time you're spending away from your families. Basically, they had no lives. So no, I'm glad the spotlight was put on that. And obviously, it wasn't just this studio. There's been a lot of you know that type of behavior around different studios in the video game industry. I'm glad it's finally something that has been openly talked about and has been, starting to get nixed across the board. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, so that pretty much about wraps up the whole points on Jason Schreier's article and everything we've seen. Let me know what you guys think about every point we have on the comment section, whether it's on YouTube or on Spotify below. Let me know what you guys think of everything we've seen. Gerry, we've covered Jason Schreier, entire article essentially, or the main points. We've covered trailer 2 speculation on what we think, and we've gone ahead and gone in depth in all of these topics. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover?
No, I think we kind of did a good job today on everything that we possibly have out there. I do like your point. So about potentially covering that whole Bible to go over what we do know will be in the game because of the leaks. I mean, whether it 100% sticks, everything that's in there, obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But that sounds like a very exciting prospect for a future episode. But for this one, I'm good where we're at. Hopefully, we can always keep our fingers crossed for something this month still, but like you said, it's probably not going to be the case. Even if it's screenshots, that would be great, but most likely not.
Yeah, but guys, that about does it for today's episode of the GTA 6 podcast. Of course, got to do our quick plugs. Gerry, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, across all social media, just at Discovering Pandora, including here on YouTube. Yeah, just everywhere at Discovering Pandora.
And of course, you guys can find me and all my content on gaming news and coverage over here across all social media as well at Somehotcookies. And of course, as dictated in the last episode, you can go ahead and find the GTA 6 podcast over on Spotify now as well. Definitely make sure to give it a look or listen if you guys are like checking out audio instead of just visuals, and that's more your interest, make sure to rate 5 stars. But ladies and gentlemen, that is about it and wraps up everything for the GTA 6 podcast. We do appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts on everything we covered here down below, and if you want to see that GTA 6 leak coverage for the next episode. But that is going to round it up for us. And for me and Gerry, thank you guys so much for listening and watching this episode of GTA 6 podcast. New episode coming out soon. Can't wait to be there. Catch you guys next time. Peace.
Later.